Okay, if I can have the presenters turn off your microphones and your cameras. Again, as we said, we'll be having you turn on and off for help with people's bandwidth on their own home computers. I want to welcome Matthew Olson. Sachin, can you turn off your camera and microphone? And Farheen? Yeah, great. Want to introduce Matthew Olson, who is the Dean of Liberal Arts at Middlesex Community College, to say a quick welcome for us. Matthew. Oh,
Thanks
get that
very much.
camera going.
Thanks very much, Tom.
There you are.
Thanks. I want to say thank you for asking me to come to this event. This is a really challenging time at the college, and I think it is for a lot of us in our personal lives as well as in our academic lives. We've all moved to remote learning, and we've been separated from each other physically. And I think that events like this help us to stay together and stay connected socially. And I'm really looking forward to experiencing the creativity of the students and the alumni and the faculty who read today. And I want to welcome you to this really innovative, creative way of holding this fantastic open poetry and fiction reading at the college without actually being together. So welcome on behalf of Middlesex to this fantastic event.
Great. Thank you, Matthew. Get my mic and camera back on here. So, welcome. Again, it's great to be here. This is our first live streaming Middlesex open poetry and fiction reading. This is jointly sponsored by the Creative Writing Program and the Office of Student Engagement. I'm Tom Laughlin, and I teach in the Creative Writing Program at Middlesex Community College here. Thanks for showing up. It's a challenging time, as Dean Olson said. It's great to come together as a virtual Middlesex community to celebrate creativity, to hear the rich variety of voices and styles, to listen, to appreciate, support our often very solitary efforts to create, to move, to engage, to inspire our audience as creative writers. So thanks for all you readers and for the audience here. I want to shout out a couple thanks. One is to Steve Rossi and Shannon Carroll of the Office of Student Engagement, to Dean Olson for his support and help, Jill Keller, the English department, Beth Noel of the marketing department at Middlesex, and a special thanks to Danielle Logan, who is our online learning specialist and helping me out as a moderator and technical person, and has been wonderful to help us out and make this this whole experience happen. We're really excited. We have over 20 Middlesex Community College students, faculty, and alumni readers today, reading poetry, short fiction selections, and also creative nonfiction. A couple of maybe housekeeping notes just for audience members signing on. By default, your mic and camera are muted, and this will help the individual experience. Whoop, somebody's sharing a screen here. Careful of that, please. Yeah, presenters, you have capability to share, so I'm just going to pop this up here. You have, the audience members don't have access to mics and cameras. It's going to help the overall experience for everyone. And if the presenters, readers turn off their cameras when they're not reading, then the experience for some who have more limited bandwidth will be better. And we want the sound and video coming through clear for people. If you do have difficulties with sound, hearing, click the top left button with the lines. There's a phone line you can call in on. If you have other technical issues, Daniela is a moderator, and maybe send her a private chat in the chat message on the right. But even though audience members, you can't communicate, sorry, myself in. Even though you are not able to communicate with your voice, please light up the chat. These Middlesex Community College writers are sharing their creativity, their hard work, their babies, really. These are their babies they're putting forth, sharing with you. If you like what you hear, let the writers know your feeling. Show your appreciation. Send them a private chat or one for everyone. You decide. But let's keep it positive and supportive as we are in the Middlesex community. It's a respectful space we want to create and support these efforts that are hard sometimes for people to step up and put themselves forward. So, I've asked the readers to, this isn't, we're all adults, and there are times if there are trigger warning, there are other things that might trigger someone in the audience, to offer a trigger warning if that's the case and you have issues with, use of profanity or some sexuality or domestic violence or whatever. Hopefully that trigger warning will help you, and you could turn down your volume for a moment while they're reading, perhaps. So I want to get started then, and our first reader will be Declan O'Connor. So let's give it up for Declan O'Connor. Readers, pop your mics on and let's welcome him. Good. All yours, Declan.
All right. The nerves are still here.
There we go.
Doesn't
Thank
matter.
you.
All right. This is a poem titled Zucchini. It's inspired by Andrea Gibson's Maybe I Need You. It's about my cat. I pulled the fur off my sweater and screamed, "That is so beautiful. It could kill a man." And he probably could. His claws are about yay big. He was born right before my other died. She was the same age as me, and she is him, seeping out of her grave in the conservation land of our last home together, into the ratty home of some other mother cat. And he is her, but not as smart, and she would have been more him had she been given the chance, had she not been bred from dusk to dawn in a cage too small for her tabby fat body. Not until I got the chance to figure out if whiskers are necessary. They are. And I got to figure out if cats can feel their tail. They can. Can a fat cat run just as fast as a lean one? Can a fat cat jump just as high as a lean one? Yes. And he would be more her if he had been a her. Because he's really just not that bright. Not his fur shines white when I come home, but when I'm gone too long, his fur ends up yellowed. She was always so dignified, purposeful in defined conversation. He is just so bossy. Good morning, chirp, chirp. How's your day? Chirp, chirp. In the middle of the night, the halls got their serenade. She sat outside the lucky winner's door until either the inhabitant or a sleepy neighbor let her in. She was lonely at heart. He sleeps in the living room without a single peep. He knows he is loved, and she is him, and he is her. That was that one. And this one's called a betrothal. All right. My life was given a proposal: be safe or disrupt others' comfort. Lacking in my own comfort, I chose safety. In safety, I sacrificed my existence. Too late, I am finding out that the proposal of my life was betrothal to my body, and I said no the first time. And that one actually was just, that one was just published, which is nice.
Oh, short.
Should I read another? I don't know. That didn't take that much time.
Whatever you want to
Go
read.
on. All right. Well, I got another. Which one do I want to do?
Well, we'll finish you off there because we have a lot of readers. It was awesome.
Yeah, let's do that.
It was awesome.
Yay.
And let's Let's give it up for Declan. Next reader, thank you, Declan, for starting us off. And our next reader is Maya Gonin. Maya, all yours.
Go Maya!
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Maya, and I'll be reading 3 of my poems today. The first one is called A Game of Tag. The process worked like a game of tag. Tag, you're it. I love you. Please don't leave. But is it really your fault that you left when I pushed you to it? No. A mess of tragedy and ruin whirling through me. The question of if I make her mad enough, will she leave me? Yes. Is it my actions or my words that pushed you? The game continuing on and on. Tag, you're it. Please realize I'm crumbling into pieces. My actions begging you stay. My words striking you leave. 8 years of friendship gone. I hurt me by hurting you. Please don't stay gone. Then the game continues with, Tag, you're it. I'm sorry, I'm toxic. That logic makes no sense. True. But I was never known for being whimsical. False. And while you didn't have to walk away. True. You've only ever done things for yourself. False. A game of tag requires more than one person. Tag, you're it. You need to leave so I don't pull you down with me. But we were both just kids. It was never your job to save me. And what did we know about surviving? I learned the hard way. The process did work like a game of tag. Tag, you're it. And now you're gone. Game over.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
My second poem is called Fairy Tales, and I guess there's a possible trigger warning because it uses Grimm's fairy tales, which can be a bit gruesome. But here's Fairy Tales. Ariel lost her voice and turned into sea foam, and you can't make the words come out of your mouth. Cinderella's stepsisters cut off their toes, and you haven't managed to stand tall in forever. Snow White's stepmother danced in burning iron shoes at her wedding, and you've nearly burned off your skin scrubbing away at something that's no longer there. The witch from Hansel and Grendel burns in her oven, and your emotions have always been boiling from a simmering to an inferno. Pinocchio was initially hung from a tree, and you constantly feel like there's a noose around your neck making sure you can't breathe. Little Red Riding Hood was eaten alive, and it feels like your mind is tearing you to bits. The little matched girl dies, and every story doesn't get the happy ending. But yeah, an unhappy ending is the real fairy tale. And then my final poem is called Aged 20. At the age of 20, I destroyed a world, tearing it out from the balancing act of multiple universes. A dream world I dismantled piece by piece. A sanctuary stripped away from sagging wooden shelving. A mix of misadventures no more. At the age of 20, I created a different world, one resounding through just as many universes. Dream worlds balanced carefully upon one another. A sanctuary stationed upon new wooden shelving. Many stories creating a mix of misadventures that thrive. Age 20, I wrought destruction upon one world to create another. The building and tearing apart of the foundation of multiple universes. A dream world dismantled and shaped anew. A sanctuary switching between stations that lay upon wooden shelving. A multitude of adventures and misadventures, both thriving amongst the construction and deconstruction of the written word. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Awesome. Awesome.
Wow. Okay, poet.
You're great.
I'm hoping that you heard me. Maybe not with everything going on. Our next reader, thanks Maya, and our next reader is Jack Stanton. Let's give it up for Jack.
Yeah, let's go, Jack.
Hi, my name is Jack, and I just have a short poem for today, titled Sorry. Mom and Dad don't say hi anymore. They say a lot of things they don't know for sure, like how snowflakes don't have feelings, or how kids don't understand war. I used to hate all the attention. I'd slam doors for isolation. My dad definitely doesn't like me, for the dreams I've brought damnation. I guess I often ask myself, why? Was it my fault, and did we have to cry? Did my father really need to leave, or did mother really need to die? I'm not mad that they left a kid. I soon had it better than most of them did. But we'll never forget the wounds they left behind. Whatever they did, it is what it is. Thank you.
Good work. Good work. Great job. Thanks, Jack. Our next reader is Gina Guerra. Gina, let's hear it for Gina.
Woo. Gina,
Yeah.
let's go.
Thank you. All right, I'll be reading a short story of mine called Snow Problem. Eloise! My sister's voice sing-song too early, too cheery. I moaned, desperately clutching to the dream still playing in my head. Eloise, wake up! Snow! My little sister said excitedly. My eyes shot open. I looked up in time to see her legs turning down the hallway, her knit socks slipping on the wooden floor, her agile 4-year-old reflexes quickly restoring her balance. I turned my attention to the opposite wall, and sure enough, white puffs were floating by my window. I leapt off my bed and rushed into my boots and sweater. I ran down the stairs and sashayed outside, ready to let the flakes stick to and melt on my face. But it isn't snow. It isn't my snow. My snow gently licks my face and ornaments my hair. My snow sings sweet symphonies in my ear as it slowly swooshes downwards. It's a toddler's blanket that he can't sleep without. Snow. Such a simple word. Such a complex idea. Snow is what fell outside the window the day I was born. Mother claims it was the seeds of 1,000,000 dandelions being blown by angels to celebrate such a wonderful person being born. But she's wrong. Dandelion fluffs aren't magic. Snow stuck to me, giving me wet puppy kisses as I dashed outside with tears streaming down my face when the police officer came knocking at our door to tell us Dad had been in an accident and arrangements had to be made. Snow twinkled in the fluorescent lights as I walked down the streets of nighttime Seattle, with my head cradled against my best friend's chest, dry eyes staring at the ground as I told him we'd be leaving when summer came and he'd have to start junior year without me. Snow paved the trees and bushes and graves in the cemetery when I went to give my father flowers and whisper I'm sorry. 1,000,000 stabs of guilt piercing my heart as I remembered he was only out driving in the first place because I needed mint chocolate chip ice cream. The stabs hitting harder as I scolded myself for being too weak to go to his funeral. Snow crunched under my feet when I walked back home after my last midterm exam, its cacophonous rhythm under my boots reminding me that what's soft and fluffy and gentle and fragile can also be firm and strong if need be. Snow. The day we left Seattle, I remember looking out the small airplane window, saying goodbye to lives I'd known for the past 16 years. Some movement out of the corner of my eye caught my attention. Cass was leafing through one of the Hans Christian Andersen stories from the kids' book I'd gotten her for Christmas. She was stroking an illustration in awe, a drawing of the Snow Queen. I started staring at it too. It's one of those pictures that made me wish I had some sort of artistic ability beyond stick figures. The Snow Queen looked strong, powerful, regal, and somehow as terrifying as she was inviting. I remember reading The Snow Queen when I was little. It was my favorite fairy tale because it's not your typical villain dies and everyone in the universe is happy forever, nothing bad ever happens again story. Or, hey, I know we just met, but let's get married right away, because that's clearly what people do when they're teenagers story. Those always seemed silly to me, even as a 6-year-old. I had liked the fact that Gerda was willing to do anything to save Kay, and I loved how the Snow Queen was smart and beautiful and graceful, basically everything I was not. I smiled at Cass and closed my window, thinking how nice it was that something as ephemeral as snow had made such an impact on our lives and the lives of Kay and Gerda. in the lives of everyone who had ever encountered its frozen perfection. I leaned back in my seat as a single tear escaped my eye, silently hoping that someone like me could have that kind of impact in other people's lives that snow seemed to have on mine. You see, unlike dandelion fluff, snow really is magic. Snow, my snow, is a reminder of the past and the promise of a future. It's the softness of a mother's embrace and the firmness of her scolding. Each flake is as unique as the last, and at the same time, each is the same as the last. A flurry of light floating past you that is amazing in ways you can't even begin to fathom. Cass rushes past me now, utterly oblivious to the difference between Buffalo snow and Seattle snow. She jumps into the pile of murky off-white that's gathered in our backyard. She grabs an armful of not snow and throws it into the air, smiling broadly as it flurries back down. Her eyes twinkle, and I smile. Cass doesn't know what real snow is like. She doesn't remember how plush, how pristine, how perfect it can be. She never made snow angels on the roof of our apartment building, feeling the softness engulf her as she stared up into the white sky. She never had a snowball fight with her best friend, laughing and squealing as he dramatically threw himself on the ground, reciting a Shakespeare-like soliloquy about dying as he majestically lay down. She never laid in the snow with that same best friend, hugging until he finally mustered the courage to do what she'd been hoping he'd do for years and kissed her. She never learned what snow is. It's not quite. It's her just right. Cass looks at me and grins. Think fast! I barely have time to duck as her first projectile hits the brick wall behind me. You are so going to pay for that, you little runt. Cass squeals as my not quite snowball hits her in the chest and laughs as I chase her around the yard. It's not snow, but it's better than nothing. Thank you.
All right.
Hey. I see you, Catan.
Good work. Thank you, Gina. Our next reader is Farik Hines. Let's give it up for Farik.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if
Woo!
presenters, you can turn mics off, we'll turn it over to Farik.
Hey guys, I got one poem today. It's Cold Cul-de-sac, which was inspired by like an inside joke from my friends. Is my mic working, guys?
Yeah,
All right,
It's working.
you're good. I just want to make sure it wasn't moving. Okay, so Cold Cul-de-sac. It was a dark and stormy yard sale on Cold Cul-de-sac. Zach, Mac, and Jack were selling goods out of their small shack, including Mac's old iMac, Jack's plaque, and a knick-knack. However, their neighborhood enemy, Pack, shoved Zach into a big burlap sack and rolled him down the grassy hill out back. This was a setback for Mac and Jack, who rushed out before they could unpack their backpack for the sale of the shack to bring back Zach. Jack rode on his white yak, whilst Mac preferred horseback. Zach continued to roll down the hill until Pack shoved Zach into his jet black rucksack and ran through an empty racetrack. Mac and Jack could track Pack with Mac's old iMac until his horse stepped on a tack and caused him to fall back near a small lilac tree. With all hope lost, a lumberjack in a red Cadillac drove by Mac and Jack and helped them find their friend Zach. The lumberjack dropped them off at an outback, and the lumberjack left them to go back home. With a burning knack for payback, Mac and Jack began to devise a counterattack. Zach broke free from the rucksack and reached into his pocket for his Nickelodeon gack, and with it, he gave Pack a great big whack. Immediately, Pack frisbeed a big flapjack at Zach to distract him so he can get away on a jetpack. Pack's flapjack hurt Zach's teeth due to dental plaque, and he had to sit back for a moment. Mac and Jack rush in to help Zach and grab a great crossbow and shoot at Pack's shirt and get him caught in a tiny crack in the wall. They tried to teach Pack the error of his ways, but he repelled their feedback and drove away in a blue Pontiac. Zach did a celebratory jumping jack along with Mac and Jack, and they all rode the yak all the way back to the old shack on Cold Cul-de-sac. The end.
All right.
Bars.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bars.
Fun.
Love it.
Thanks, Farik. Awesome. Let's give it up for our next reader, Julia Goggins McBride. Julia.
You got this.
Get it.
Well, I was going this early. Clearly, I should do more research. So I will be reading 4-ish poems. They're all kind of short, and yeah. Dear naked body, I am learning to love you for the darkness that lies below and over the surface of your skin, for the times you've been touched by men, welcomed, for each hair that arises, peach fuzz and pube, for each curve and angle I see ribs that have been cracked and femurs that have supported you. I see fingers that have held beautiful bodies and shoulders that have been stained by tears of loved ones. I see the descendants of immigrants who bared babies to bring you here with their wide hips and voluptuous breasts. I see fingers that I see millions of women standing before you, grateful that you will pass on their legacy. Naked body, I have beaten and scarred you, cradled and robbed you. You are all my own, and I will use you as I see fit.
Hell yeah.
This one's called Heart Beat Steady. It's slightly an older one. So, Sunday morning, my head's on your chest as I am listening to your heartbeat steady. Neither one of us fully awake with foggy thoughts, simply connected by the rate of our heartbeats breathing. Perfectly in line, you press your dry, cracked, warm lips to my forehead as if to say good morning. As I pull you in, and so this moment can last just a second longer, with gentle kisses down the crevice of my neck to the soft roundness of my shoulders, working your way back up to my lips lightly, wake me up in the most beautiful way. My God, I wish we did this every day. And this one's called Beloved. I've watched the fear come on your face as it fills with grief as your eyes swell with release. I thought you didn't love me anymore. My sweet boy, when my eyes cast upon you in the morning, it is I who am filled with love. You're different than everyone else. My dearest, I want to be the one who loves you the most, for your love is extraordinary. Why do you love me? It has been a pleasure to love someone so pure. I truly believe you are my soulmate. I intend on loving you until my dying breath. And then the last one, slight trigger warning, I guess. Came to all of my poems like 10 minutes before. It has a slightly sexual content, but it's not bad, I promise. Seduction. Nipping at your ear with my teeth, consuming you with the taste of my tongue. Bulge expanding to meet the restriction of jeans, melting into your hands. Moans fill my ears as you fill me. Tentative kisses down my spine, grasping at sheets, clenching muscles, building sensitivity at the peak of pleasure. Oh baby, why do you think you love me? For I am just a play toy and you are simply just playing.
Wow. Go in.
That's all. Thanks, kids. Bye.
Great. Good work, Julia. Thank you. Awesome. And we're going back and forth between poetry and fiction. We have next reader is a reader of fiction, Boyd Mason. Let's give it up for Boyd.
Let's go.
All right.
Whoop. Get that camera on, Boyd.
We good there, Tom?
Click your camera on down the bottom
Oh,
of the screen there.
yep.
Just want to
Sorry.
see you.
I'm a dinosaur here.
No problem. There should be a video button down the bottom of the screen.
Yeah. Yep.
There you go. Good. Oh, you came on and off. Try one more time to click it once and hopefully it'll stay.
Is it there? I'm seeing the picture of myself.
Yeah. Click it one more time maybe. I'm not sure why the camera's not working. It flashed for a moment, but Oh, we had a momentary. Try one more time, otherwise we'll flip you around and maybe have you test it out with Daniela while we move on to the next reader.
Still nothing, huh?
Okay. Yeah, why don't we'll see if we can have. Let me try one more. If you click there one more time, at least showed for a minute. So, okay, let's.
Oh, do you have me now?
We can see you.
It's working.
All right. Sorry about that. Sorry to take up the time there. I'm twice everybody's age here. So that's my excuse. So, good to go?
You're good.
All right. In the spirit of our odd state of affairs that we're in, I've cobbled together a short dystopian tale here for you. So, submitted for your approval, The Farmer's Market. The year was 2850. The date, June 1st. We will perhaps never know the cause of what transpired that day. It may have been the act of a mighty God, angry at the world for taking so much and putting back so little. Or it could have been the fulfillment of a prophecy set forth by some ancient colony aliens who perchance were the true gods of the earth, of the universe. The day started out normal for most, as most days do. The sun rose in the west. There was poverty, there was wealth, there was crime, there was compassion. There was good and bad, greatness and failure, humanity and inhumanity. But at one moment which reverberated around the world, everything changed. The sun went black. Great storms of lightning threatened the earth with impunity, while Herculean meteors pummeled the vast deserts and seas. The planet shook violently. A mind-numbing hum brought people to their knees. Then it was over. The tumult had lasted mere minutes, but the transformation of the world had been forged. It was drastic. Though there were no physical changes to the creatures of the earth, the guard had changed. The animals had now come of age and were to take control of everything. It took but seconds to realize they were now of superior mental aptitude. Consider, as an example, in the United States, the humans were immediately relieved of duty at NASA. The engineers were let out helplessly as a highly advanced team of emus took over. They quickly worked with a team of beavers at MIT to develop prosthetics they could slide onto their limbs, to fluidly type complex equations on their computer, and easily manipulate levers and switches. The humans were, in short order, evacuated out of their houses. They did not fight back, at least most of them. The rare human that put on a struggle was given a swift rap to the head or a strong shot of electricity to the backside, or neck, depending on which animal was leading the prodding. But they all knew something was wrong. You could see their eyes bulged in fear, and they yelled periodically, "Hey," or "What is happening?" The children stuck close to their parents. Some of the kinder animals, usually the dogs, burros, and deer, would keep the humans as pets. They would lovingly stroke their ears with their hooves or paws. They would take them out on evening walks after work. Some would even take the humans out for car rides, their heads gleefully hanging out the rear windows. The upper class animals, such as the tigers, lions, and leopards, and to a lesser extent bears, like to showcase the humans in zoos or private enclosures at home. The pretty and handsome ones were most sought after. Some even hunted them, utilizing a special device to use a gun or bow and arrow. The lack of speed of the humans in comparison to the animals made it dull, however, and only a cruel minority pursued this sport. Life moved forward, and it was a bright August day. The animals had initiated a program called Operation Roundup. Within weeks, they had assembled a certain menagerie of humans at the stockyards in Boise. Dominating attendance at the auction were cattle and hogs, chickens and turkeys. They perused the yard, eyeing the humans with a glint in their eyes. The humans stared back blankly. They had been fattened up for this day, often force-fed. The bidding began. The auctioneer was a steer, and his mooing was rapid and clear. The bidding was fierce, the prices realized astronomical. The gleeful atmosphere at the stockyards amongst the animals was palpable. The winning bids were mercilessly herded into a holding area. Finally, as the sun began to grow low in the sky, a bell was rung. The auction was finished. A great deal of celebratory mooing, snorting, and stomping filled the yard. The humans were led up ramps into trailers with narrow slits. Semi-trucks hauled the trailers out of the stockyards. The humans rolled down the highway to the slaughterhouse, passing cars full of families of goats, cows, pigs, turkeys, and chickens. As the humans peeked their noses out the slits and stared with confusion at the scenery dizzily passing by, they were met with expressions of amusement from the animals staring out their car windows. This was a special group for the animals. The trailers, in bold red lettering, were marked farmers. Thank you, and be well.
We can see you.
Me? Yeah. Or who are you talking to?
You.
Okay. Should I go? I don't know what's going on. If I have to be introduced or. Okay. I'll introduce reading Girl Lost in the Labyrinth, which is a poem that I wrote. So here it goes. I'm a work in progress, riding the rocketing roller coaster of everything. I've tasted the salt of fast, angry, and confused tears, the fear of an unwritten future, the contentment of a pink-orange sun setting on a well-worn day. This is where poetry comes from. Poetry is consideration at a still, reflective lake. It transcends the rules and accepted definitions. It's my own in a world of inescapable cliches, enticing those enthralled enough to enter into the edges of its mystic universe. I've entered there, and everything about it twists and turns the world on its axis. It transformed me into an abstraction that manifests itself as art. A Picasso, a Van Gogh, a Monet. If an expressionist or impressionist were to paint me, they take a smooth, delicate brush, add colors from every possible hue, and take care with their strokes. Sweeping, sweeping strokes of bold color across a large easel. I'd look outlandishly unrealistic as they hum to themselves, sorting out my eclectic intricacies. I'd be countless shades of orange, like rows upon rows of plump pumpkins lined up in an old shed waiting for Halloween. Then dizzying reds like the heat of salsa pulsing through two dance partners or taste buds. My other half would be lipstick maroons that women try on but don't always wear. I'd be masqueraded to look like a sweet lullaby with pastel blushing pinks. Then as people look a little longer, observe a little closer, listen to the lyrics, I'm actually more neurotic, thoughtful, deep electric blues and passionate purples. I'd be a girl with a maze running through her head. Half of me warm, the other half cool. I wouldn't physically look like myself anymore. No, because it's my soul that they're painting. Art isn't merely physical. It's a study in the soul. Hardly any ebony browns would be squeezed out from my hair, nor any pale whites for my skin. I'm a work in progress. I've changed, and I've held on to the past parts of myself. A Renoir, a Pizarro, an abstraction that manifests itself as art. Breathes, eats, sleeps, art. A beautiful bursting masterpiece waiting to be painted. Strokes of color on the brush would paint luminescent stars, and I would bloom to life like a myriad of chrysanthemums. Another consideration, illuminated in a mythological garden of beautiful bewilderment. In my paintings, I go far, far away. Except I paint by words. A blank page is my easel. And I disappear into the comfort of my imagination. I'm lost. But that is where new ideas and memories grow. Is it so terrible to live amongst the foreignness of a new land? I am floating through time. It halts and speeds faster than Einstein's light beams. And this time, there are distant shapes of a boy and girl entangled that disappear into the quiet moonlight. The traces of an ancient statue that stands with an outreached palm. One ancient relic of many that compose our controversial past. What are their stories? I eagerly whisper to myself. I like the maybes of wishes, because behind a wish is a story. Throwing a coin in the fountain on the off chance that it will come true, or wishing on a faraway star or lost eyelash. It may not work, or it may be magic. I love not knowing and watching people lose themselves in the pages of a book, watching them sniff the ink and feel the words from its pages. These are the snapshots of life. And sometimes there is silence, a silence that is a shy flower waiting to be heard or appreciated. I like this silence, contemplating it. The silence is my portal toward thinking about the pains and joys of life. Other times I can walk on air with oxygen pumping me forward. I feel vibrant and shamelessly alive. Then there are other times when I feel like a maelstrom of emotion. I sit like the sea, waiting for it to pass, but I'm reaching fire and ash. No longer am I girl kissed by salt and sea. I am heavy boots trudging through ugly sludge, rain pit pattering on the window with no steady meter. An astronaut sent up to space with no mission from NASA. Poetry booms off the walls, echoes into the crevices of my soul. It likes it there. It wants to heal. It wants to stay. I'm riding the rocketing roller coaster of everything. I can feel my heart ignite and crackle within me. Sun is my whimsical landscape. I live amongst the airiness of the trees. Poetry did that. As the sun beats down, it captures that igniting, crackling heart of mine. I ask reflection in the mirror, trying to paint the shift, but I'm unsure of how. But if someone asks me who I am, though, I might say girl lost in the labyrinth. Thank you.
Wow.
Great job.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Okay. I'm Mark DeRozier, and I'm going to be reading a poem. And this is from a world space that I'm working on just for fun. So here we go. It's called The Battle of Eldritch Pass. In the mountains to the south, Eldritch Pass once rang with the clash of iron and steel, and of men at war. The cries of men, dying and bleeding, rang in the ears of Serene, Knight of Vernier, who would soon lay claim to the title we call her today, Scale Breaker, Ender of War. In the battle there was her most acclaimed foe, Gintuck of the Dragon kin, unholy combination of dragon and man. On red-black wings he descended upon the Notion ranks, with strength of 12 many he slew, and from his lungs fire sprang, and burned men asunder. Serene charged, her holy blade in hand, and Quaishin of Moinari by her side, his own mithril blade gleaming bright. Their fight was short, as Gintuck's claws rent through Serene's blessed armor. His talons snapped her holy blade, Serene was pushed back, and Quaishin faced the dragonkin alone. Quaishin fell before long, a hole through his noble heart. His mithril blade lay in the mud before Serene. She took up the ancient blade, and with a mighty stroke, she took the dragonkin's arm. His cry chilled the air and the spines of men, and not a soul moved from frozen fear, save Serene, Knight of Vernier, Scale Breaker, Ender of War. Gintuck knelt beside her, bested by the wicked wound. Her blade came away from his throat. She let out a mighty roar and proclaimed the battle won.
Ooh. Thank you. Work, Mark. Thank you. Our next reader is Hannah Deniv. Hannah, let's give it up for Hannah.
Woo, go Hannah!
Yes.
Go Hannah!
So I will be reading a short fiction piece, a minor trigger warning for violence. 1:27 a.m. On the corner of Jefferson and Sydney, I lean casually against a rust-covered metal pole, having grown bored of studying its features. Posters litter its lower half, melding together in an unintelligible mass of garage sales and lost pets, ink now having run into a blur of blacks and grays. Just a few can be made out, like a piss yellow one that reads, Garage Sale, November 12th. It's 3 weeks too late, but still holding strong. Another, hot pink, reads Missing, and includes a smudged black and white picture of an obese tabby, which is presumably dead by now. Pity. 1:35 a.m. The cool air bites at the exposed bits of my face, not protected by the dingy scarf haphazardly wrapped around my neck and mouth. I peer out from underneath the hood of my heavy work jacket. The gas station across the street, Phillips 66, lets off a fluorescent glow, illuminating the mostly barren streets. Cars come and go, passing without care or notice. A maroon 2006 Toyota Camry pulls in. A male, 5'8", roughly 170 pounds, clad in heavy work boots, dark jeans, and a puffy black jacket, steps out and pumps unleaded gas. Leaves. A dull silver 1998 Acura TL pulls in. A male, 5'6", roughly 200 pounds, clad in beat Nikes, gray sweats, and a safety orange hoodie, steps out, heads inside, and returns with a bag and a 32-ounce soft drink. Leaves. 2:35 a.m. A figure approaches me, walking at a hurried pace. A female, 5'1", roughly 115 pounds. A black overcoat is wrapped tightly around her slender body, its length down to mid-calf. Tall black boots with little silver buckles on the ankles cover her feet. The wind whips her long brown locks around her face, curling it into her eyes and mouth. Her features are, unfortunately, obscured, but she's probably agreeable enough. I have no time for pickiness at such hours of the night. She angles her path away from me, distancing herself as much as possible. It appears she's headed toward Sydney. Perfect. 2:37 a.m. I follow her from a short distance, waiting. I know there is a limited window for me to strike. I approximate 7 seconds. No time for errors. She nears the alleyway, which runs between an old, run-down factory and a row of closed businesses, unaware of my looming presence. Her small, delicate hands clench the leather straps of a burgundy purse. I reach forward. My left hand quickly grabs hold of her slender arm, while the other tightly clasps against her mouth. She drops her bag, gripping at my arms. As I yank her into the dark passage, she tries desperately to scream, but to no avail. She thrashes her legs, kicking wildly. Twists and turns of flailing limbs will not help her. Once I have her in the hidden crevice of the alley, I reach for my waist, removing my beloved blade. It will serve me well, just as it has in the past. 2:50 a.m. A number of slashes to the throat, abdomen, and hands. Warmth oozes from fresh lacerations, making a considerable mess. This is always my favorite part. The pools of dark blood collecting around a beautiful, frozen body. Moonlight glints off the swelling puddles, framing her in a perfect portrait. I lean against the cold brick wall, sliding against it till I hit the hard ground. I replay the scene over and over in my mind. Black fogs of memory coil and swirl, forming everything in such vivid and colorful detail. From the heavy weight of the steel blade to the intense pressure it took to embed it into weak muscles and flesh. It repeats back to me, playing like a film made of all my favorite scenes, every sequence a masterpiece of my own design. I gaze down at my doing, seeing wisps of wet hair and coils all about her. Lifeless eyes peer back, void of emotion. I bring my stained hands to my face, inhaling. Metallic aroma fills my nostrils, causing my eyes to roll. The distant screeches of sirens draw me back, leaving behind my infectious experiences to settle against the grime and muck. I gather my thoughts and pull myself back to my feet, still slightly dizzy. Taking one last look at my prize, I shakily sprint off, away from the blaring sirens, deeper into the alley's darkness. Thank you.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Great job, Hannah.
Yeah. Good work, Hannah.
Horrifying. I loved it.
Yes. Thanks, Hannah. And our next reader is Jake Keene. Let's give it up for Jake Keene. Turn those mics on for a moment. Yes.
There we go. All right, can you see me?
We can see you.
We
All
can
right.
see you. We're good, Jake.
All right. So my poem, it's going to be a somewhat lengthy poem. It's called Impact, and it deals with the very real and very grim prospect of extinction. And there will be some scenes that may be disturbing to some listeners, so discretion is advised. All right. One day before. A verdant forest filled with life, swamps and glens and cypress trees, ancient beasts large and small scamper through the damp woods. A vibrant place, old yet breathing. 4 hours before. A day just like any other. A horned beast graces with his herd, side by side with duck-billed ones. Fear is fleeting before the feast, the only trouble being full bellies. 3 hours before. A tyrant has his own feast, one of meat of the innocent. He digs his teeth in with abandon, indifferent to the act he's done. Fear is fleeting after the feast. 1 hour before. A humble creature scurries in the bush, concealed by cloak of shadow and leaf. Furry, agile, and ripe with potential. He cowers neath his overlords, but his kind will rule one day. 15 minutes before. Foreboding silence looms like a cloud, as life itself is stricken with stillness. A specter of doom unseen and unheard materializes from the outer gloom. Life below it remains, unmoved. 1 minute before. A new light glows in the sky. A second sun starts weak, yet grows, brighter and brighter as it descends. A chariot of fire has come to purge the world of old below. Impact. The light on high slams down as panic rises all around. Shrieking and fleeing fill the air as all balance comes undone. So begins nature's Ragnarok. 1 hour after impact. With floods and fires and quakes, a world is reduced to shambles. Dust falls like a gentle snow as all creation is tattered and torn. There comes no bang, but a whimper. 1 year after impact. Gone is the green, replaced with gray. Stumbling searches for food endure. Hope becomes a dying memory, and survival becomes its usurper. All is but one thought, that is hunger. 40,000 years after impact. Silence fills the shaken world, and survivors inherit the woe. What once was is now lost, taken by a cosmic undertaker. Wordlessly, a kingdom falls. 20 million years after impact. Green has come once again, and with it new life flourishes. Furry, plentiful, full of potential, they spread out with their progenies, and so a new kingdom has come. 60 million years after impact. From humble beginnings a new being rises, standing on wobbly, hairy legs, and armed with the knowledge to survive. This is where our forebears began, for this lowly ape has a big future. 66 million years after impact. Man has risen unto his own, erecting towers of steel, wood, and rock, and machines of wonder large and small. Yet now he poisons and plagues his world, born from both arrogance and ignorance. 15 minutes before impact, the world fades from green to brown. Mankind collapses neath his own weight as a new light shines on high, dimly. No seraph or angel be this, but a fiery chariot, come to judge life itself once again. 10,000 years after impact, life heals as best it can from the fires, quakes, and floods. What once was is now lost. New rulers rise from the dirt and ashes, small, resourceful, and full of potential. Thank you.
Awesome.
Great job.
Good work.
Nice.
Good work, Jake. Give it up. Awesome. Our next reader, thanks, Jake. And our next reader is Katie Durant. Katie, you're up. Let's give her a round of applause and welcome her.
Yeah.
Hello, can you see me now?
We can see and hear you. All yours, Katie.
Okay, so I'm going to read 3 very short nonfiction pieces as part of a longer book-length work. I'll read it straight through. The first one is called Promised. One Wednesday night, when my father dropped us off after going to the arcade, my mother was not home. My father put us to bed. I made him promise to come kiss me goodnight when he left, even if I was asleep. I feared every time he left I might never see him again. Anything could happen to him. Most of all, I was afraid he would be killed in a car accident. I was always reminding him to wear a seatbelt. I was still awake when my mother came home. I listened to them whisper. Then I heard my father creaking up the stairs. He paused at my door. I was pretending to sleep. I wanted to see if he would kiss me still, like he had promised. He only paused and then left. At my window, I watched his headlights turn away in the dark. I know he just didn't want to wake me. Of all the things I hold against him, this is the most unreasonable. The next one's called White Shuttered Houses.
Wow, last line.
Thank you. Sometime between his visits on Wednesdays and every other weekend, my father seemed not to exist anymore. If he did, it was in another life that I imagined him into. I would look for his car from my window while my mother was driving. I was sure I would find it parked in some normal family's driveway. He would be with another wife with different kids, living in a white shuttered house. Really, I knew he was living alone in a cramped apartment with milk crate furniture. The last one's called Why My Father Was Not Married. Thank you. When I was 9, I asked my father why he didn't marry Denise. He had been dating her for almost as long as I could remember. He sat on his living room floor, leaning against his scratchy mustard love seat with his coffee mug perched upon the hill of his belly. I asked her a few times, but she won't marry me, he replied. Why not? I chirped. Because I have you guys. She doesn't want any more kids. He uncrossed his ankles, flexed his feet in his dirty sneakers, and crossed them again. Well, we're not her kids, and it's not like we live with you or anything. It doesn't matter. Maybe we'll get married when you guys are grown up. The conversation ended when my brother Wes asked my father to drink his coffee without his hands again. My father bent forward and pushed his stomach out and up until the lip of the mug met his mouth, and he tipped it with his face and drank. For us, this trick had the same appeal as his driving with his knees instead of his hands. In the car rides from our house to his, or on the longer drives to Nan's house, my father would cluck songs like a chicken. I used to wish I could be as witty and clever as my father, shooting jokes from the hip. He strove to make us laugh, to entertain us, particularly when we had troubled or soured moods. Looking back, these things we found so funny were mostly puns, fart jokes, and the probings into the comings and goings of chickens. My mother told us that it is hard to be married to a funny man. Thank you very much and stay safe and healthy.
Great.
Great job.
Thank you, Katie. Good work. Good work. Thank you, Katie, and let's give it up for Farheen Khalifa. Farheen. Woo! Pop that camera on, Farheen, so we can see you. There we go. Great.
Hi everyone, my name is Farheen Khalifa, and my title for this poem is Move On. You can't get everything easily. Sometimes it is challenging. There is always a way to face it. Every morning is beautiful. It is waiting for you to put your steps in and move on like a bird. They build their nest on a tree, but in a bad weather, they choose another path and move on. Some situations are very stressful. It is hard to come out from the emotions. Emotions pulls a person back and not allowing to see the positivity. You should be strong and move on like a tree. When you're seedling a plant, every day you add some water in it, and one day it becomes a tree. Same thing. Takes the negativity from the situation and convert it into the positive by achieving a good things in life and move on with it. Enjoy every moment of your life by facing the different situation with a smile, because life is all about move on and learn from your past. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Great job.
Thank you.
Here, Patrick.
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Just checking. I'm going to be sharing two poems with you today. I'm going to start with the Modern Duel, which I wrote a while ago. The glint of steel, the ringing of a blade being drawn, the war cry of a noble savage, a swirl of sand, the crowd parts like the sea before a rock. A man dressed all in black is revealed. He challenges another man for the right to die a noble death. With a flourish, he reveals his weapon, a saber made of good steel, wielded by an expert hand. He flourishes his weapon, shot for the crowd, much like the gladiators did before facing their fate. His opponent is but a man, tired, weary, and unwell, facing a trained combatant. The opponent draws his weapon, a bang is heard, and the great swordsman is but a corpse, bleeding out in the sand. I'm sure if the opponent actually said anything, he would have said, "I don't have time for this." Now on to my second work. It's Furry Paradox. I wrote it much more recently. To be alone is terrifying. To stare out into the infinite blackness, knowing that we are the only ones peering up. That would be horrifying. Spreading out from star to star, breaking the barrier of light, only to find that we are alone. And spend an eternity wishing we weren't. We may wish we stayed in the light of our one main secret, still looking up in wonder. But to find that we aren't, that would be worse. To go exploring, only to find alien ruins. To settle the stars, only to find them already settled. That would be infinitely worse. Would mean that we aren't safe. That would mean that the great filter isn't behind, but ahead. Chances are we aren't safe. Chances are we would be filtered and end up lost to time, instead of having nothing but it.
Okay, good work. Thank you, Patrick.
You're welcome.
And our next reader, let's give it up for Mackenzie Cartier. Mackenzie.
Oh, yeah.
Go, Mackenzie.
Come through.
You there, Mackenzie?
It says she's connecting or reconnecting.
Oops.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. There we go.
Alright, so I know you guys can see me. Alright, so I'm going to read two things. One's very short, so it's kind of the two sides of me, math lover and the horror lover. So the first one is called Math Talk Dirty to Me. Complex variables, intimately related, an orgy of sin x and cosine x, tangent and cotangent. Come on, x, tell me why. Flip me over your axis, or make me your inverse. Make me a part of your two-parameter family, where x is linear and y is logarithmic.
Woo!
One. All right. So for this one, I guess I'll give like a little bit of trigger warning. It is horror, so I don't want to freak anyone out. So I kind of invite anyone that is willing to kind of join me into the London subway to kind of close your eyes and kind of let me tell you a story about your adventure. It's called Flirtation with Peril. You look around the desolate tube station. No one, as usual. You scan the emptiness, trying to find someone to talk to, as the cold seeps into your bones, causing you to shiver. Loneliness invades your mind, reminding you how silenced you are, forced to hide behind a polite smile, while your darker side fights for dominance. Remember, people can do worse things than kill you. A small melodic voice whispered, your muscles stiffening as you hold your breath. Turning on your heels, you see the back of a 5-year-old child, his small shoulder blades protruding awkwardly from his white t-shirt, patches of dirty blonde hair masking the monster underneath. His decaying skin dripping off his bones, and the smell of rotten flesh defiling your nose. You remain frozen in fear, watching as his head begins to turn malevolently toward you. His spinal cord severed with a crack, the skin on his neck ripping like a piece of paper as his tendons popped, unable to withstand the strain. His baby blues meet your own, his smile an empty pit of razor teeth dripping with saliva. Closing your eyes, you cover your mouth, muffling a desperate cry for help, stumbling back into the tiles beside the Hyde Park Corner logo, too colorful against the bare platform walls. Realizing you cannot escape, you peek through a bed of eyelashes. His body is now completely facing your own, and blood dripping down his front onto neatly pressed jeans. The child's pitch-black eyes begin to mirror your every movement, silently stalking from within the confines of the tube platform. As the dirty ivory walls close in, your pulse begins to race, breath quickening, adrenaline spiking, goosebumps forming from within your skin as the temperature steadily drops around you. A hungry expression dominates his features, becoming more predator than human. His spine elongates, allowing his neck to fluidly collapse. His ribcage expands outward. He awkwardly dislocates his elbows with a sickening pop. His hands welcome the ground. The last thing you see is his gray form, arrogantly charging at you like a spider for a fly caught in its web. Your heart skips a beat, shuddering with recognition, for you know he is the ghost haunting your nightmares, the you from your previous life. He lunges at you. Your head screams in agony as your body crumbles beneath you. The light dances on your face, slowly dragging you back into reality. You look up from your hood. The dreary London darkness is overwhelming your eyes, pupils dilating, grabbing for any remnants of light. Smirking to yourself, you think how the city always finds a way to play with your deepest fantasies. Even it admires your work as the streets run red. Standing like a shadow, you observe tourists gawk at the mundane, as if they had never seen anything like it, of course. They are not aware of you, always invisible to their blind eyes. The hole in your right boot welcomes water inside as you walk. Slithering down Commercial Street, you find your favorite bar. Walking into the 10 Bells, you instantly glide to the winding booth at the rear. You love it because the painting beside you is the modern image of its twin across the mahogany bar. The painting boasts a straight-laced older businessman turning from an eccentric man adorned with a striped shirt and tight leather pants. Standing, you cross the small bar to the painting's brother. This one brings you back to times of red coats, wigs, and voluptuous skirts. Returning to your booth, you feel his eyes on you as if he is peeling your skin away. Politely, you turn to him smiling, even as your mind curates every way to skin and gut the stranger. You imagine plunging your favorite knife into his soft neck, condemning him to his last few moments as the scent of iron wafts into your nostrils. You furiously counts all of your senses. Your toes respond by curling in delight. You open your eyes to the streaming plates of steak and broccoli you ordered as you begin to carnivorously engulf the filet mignon. The juices mixed with blood drip helplessly onto the plate. After finishing every scrap of food on your plate, you slip your hand into the back pocket of your jeans, closing your hand around a worn wallet your grandfather gave to you before passing away. Carefully, you remove a crisp 20-pound note and slide it across the check booklet to the bubbly preachers who had daintily placed it on your table. Outside the bar, you lose yourself in thought until you find a stranger wandering toward the door like a stray thief. Only you silently chuckle to yourself. Hello. Your voice is too welcoming. Eyes reaching theirs. Your footsteps are heavy on the cobblestones. Where are you headed tonight? The 10 Bells. Stranger's pungent breath drowning you in rotten eggs and stale beer. Your eyelids attempt to cover your eyes, your nose burning with agony, so desperate to shield you against the toxic smell. Breathing effortlessly, you present yourself as a sexual object, bring them into the alley next to the bar. Pinning them against the brick wall within the desolate alley, you close your hand around their waist, teasing. You can feel their body responding with resounding pleasure to your touch. Enclosed in silence with your face dark to the danger, you roll your eyes. People are so foolish, like a fly drawn into an enticing beauty of a light. Your hands descend down, reaching the higher part of their thigh, and you instinctively move your hands until you find the proper placement of where the femoral artery should be within the inner thigh. Higher, I moan, attempting to move your hand toward your groin, assuming your intentions. With a glint of silver, you lift the dagger from the secret compartment concealed within your navy peacoat. You coo into their crusty ear, thrusting the blade into their left thigh, creating a 6-centimeter gash through an overly pressed pant leg. You, the stranger begins, voice raspy as you cover their mouth, cutting off a final attempt to call you a derogatory slur. This is how it always happens, you think to yourself as you watch as their lower body comes soaked in blood, folding in upon itself a heap of bones, flesh, and birthing desires. You turn away from the stranger, and your eyes wander to the puddle you had not noticed before. Your face reflects back, but it is no longer your own. Your reflection mirrors pitch black eyes, smiles too large for your face full of razor teeth. Remember, people can do worse things than kill you. Your mirror image reminds you in your own voice, turning your blood cold. Okay, that's it. So, here you go, guys.
Awesome. Good job, Mackenzie.
Great job.
Good job. And our next reader, moving to some poetry, is Derek Rodman. Let's hear it for Derek. Good job. Here we go.
You guys see me?
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Click that camera on, maybe. Can hear you though.
Good?
Yeah, we can hear
There
you.
you go.
Can't see.
Good.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Okay.
there you go.
This poem's called Dreams. When the light of hope is dim and my thoughts start to stray, when I can't fan the flames that have been dampened by the rain, my dreams will force me out of my sleep each day. Set foot off the stage, I've performed my little play. Turn on the faucets, drown ambitions down the drain, when the light of hope is dim and my thoughts start to stray. When the black dog has chosen me as his prey, and it feels like leeches have emptied blood from each vein, my dreams will force me out of my sleep each day. I can't always persist, though try as I may. Everything is lost, is there nothing to gain, when the light of hope is dim and my thoughts start to stray. I've got nowhere to run with these feet made of clay. With everything gone, only one thing will remain. My dreams will force me out of my sleep each day. But one thing is true, no matter how much I sway. This one thing is true, and I vow it won't wane. When the light of hope is dim and my thoughts start to stray, my dreams will force me out of my sleep each day. Thank you.
Nice.
Good job, Derek. Thank you, Derek. And our next reader is Sachin Arora. Sachin, all yours.
Okay, hi, my name is Sachin Arora, and I'm going to be reading two poems. One titled LSD and Music, and the other one, Excitement to Race on the Autobahn, which is a haiku named after the famous German highway of the same name. All right, so LSD and music. So music is like watching two dancers exchanging each move according to the groove. Pair it with LSD, and the combination matches that same experience, but expands on the mood. It is a combined force that moves through your body, your bones, and into your soul. And once you get a taste, you are addicted and can't let go. Becoming more than how it sounds, once you let the highs in, the music will change your view and break new grounds. The best is dub music, because it paints a picture through pleasant textures, while simultaneously building on the groove through a series of compositional and studio admixtures, such as the booming bass, the loud and echoey sound of the drums, the seductive sound of the organ, complemented by the phrasing of the guitar, all of which soaked in reverb and delay, communicates the sense of joy and bliss that is felt in raw reggae. However, if not managed properly, they can warp your perception, trap your mind, and lead to self-imprisonment, which then becomes a predicament. But when they are properly managed, they add onto your creative and self-expression, through which the window of your perception is opened and becomes consonant with eternal nature, and the facts and lessons of life are interwoven, and who you were before you took the tab is but a stranger that is scattered and broken. leaving you with unlimited possibilities to rebuild yourself with a deep self-awareness that becomes long-lasting and imminent. And thus, I bid you farewell and leave you with the words by William Blake and used famously by Aldous Huxley. If the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear as it is, infinite. All right, and here's excitement to race in the Autobahn. The Autobahn calls, the speed, the feel, the craving. I can't wait to race. That's it. It's a haiku.
Thanks, Sachin. Great
No
work.
problem.
Thanks, Sachin. We have a handful more readers enjoying every moment of this. Let's give it up for Erica Joy Jepson is our next reader. Erica.
Woo! Okay. Share video, yes. Come on.
Audio's there, but not video
Okay.
yet.
Thank you.
Video's not on yet, Erica. So maybe click down the bottom there. Audio's there, but not video. There you go. Good.
Is it working?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So my piece is a creative nonfiction. There may be some slight domestic violence, so enjoy. The title of my piece is Just Another Day. Just another day. I just spoke with a friend and told him about a reenactment I just saw of a medieval battle. I know he loves medieval fighting, so of course he would love the reenactment. And if it wasn't a reenactment, he just might. He told me about this other group that does real medieval battles in real metal armor up in Nashua at a place called the Knight's Hall. And they train women to fight too. I'm gonna check that out. Just another day. I just left the Knight's Hall for an exercise class for the first time. I was so scared when I got here. There's so many other students who are all huge, with rippling muscles etched into their flesh. That's what it felt like, at least. So big, so strong. And I can't even do one push-up. I got a lot of work to do if I'm going to get anywhere with this armored fighting. Just another day. I've been training up at Knight's Hall for several months now, and I'm so much stronger than I was when I first started. I've learned to love myself too, and I've come to realize that my boyfriend is being abusive of me. He and I got into an argument tonight, and our relationship ended with his hands around my neck. As I felt his grip, I remembered last week's training at Knight's Hall, and with that was able to protect myself. I never thought this is where I would have my first big fight. Just another day. I've been training for about a year now and have spent the past several months buying armor in preparation for this very night, the night of my first battle. I'm nervous. What am I supposed to think? The armor is hot, and my 20-pound helmet is holding carbon dioxide in my face. My full armor set weighs about 65 pounds, and I'll be fighting other women also weighing in at minimum 200 pounds. We will attack each other with our swords, axes, maces, the same as was used at castles some 500 years ago. I'm going to get hit, and it's going to hurt. It's going to be awesome. Just another day. You're only as strong as you challenge yourself to be, which is why I was deadlifting 180 pounds yesterday morning. Didn't mean to hurt myself so bad that I couldn't walk on my own anymore. I cannot remember feeling anything this excruciating in all my life, not even from the car accident I was in several years ago. That's probably what knocked a couple of my vertebrae out of alignment and landed me where I'm at now. My friend Jay knows a good chiropractor who can help me. I'll start seeing him when I have the money and the strength. Just another day. It's a good thing I went to school for massage therapy. I found out some of these fighters really like getting their muscles worked on, which is useful for me so I can pay the chiropractor. They come in, massage, they pay and leave happy. And if they keep training for armored combat, that'll be job security for me for years to come, since they'll keep getting sore muscles. Like the saying goes, no pain, no gain. Just another day. I'm nervous again. More nervous than I've ever been. Even more nervous than the first time I set foot in the ring. I can feel sweat trickling down my spine, even though the air is cool. When I started getting chiropractic treatment last year, my chiropractor asked me what I want to regain strength for. I told him I want to become strong enough to get in the ring and fight one-on-one against Jay, the most terrifying armored combat fighter in the world. The referee shouts and asks if we are ready. My pulse is beating hard as I look at Jay, standing in his dark armor and holding his long sword out to me. I take a deep breath, and the fight begins. Just another day. Malk, Poland is where we have come for worldwide armored fighting competition. This weekend, I fought against women from all over the world. All the screaming and crying, winning and losing makes me proud to be here. The last thing for me to do is to be knighted. Jay is with me again, sword in his hands, and beaming with pride as I solemnly kneel before him. I can hardly contain myself as I feel the sword tap my shoulders. I have truly become a knight. Not just a knight of America, but an internationally fighting knight. Everything I've done has led me to this moment, to change my life, to become what I and many others see as a true warrior. Just another day. The end. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe.
You too.
Right.
Hi, everyone. I think it's some problem with connection. I think Professor Laughlin is back online. Thomas, can you hear us? Yeah, okay, Erica, thank you. Maybe I can move the event ahead, though I don't know exactly who is the next presenter. So if you didn't present so far, can you take over and read your poetry, please? Uh, I get conflicting messages.
According to the list, it's Ray Miller.
Wonderful. So, Ray, can you read us?
Professor Laughlin wants us to do Sapond.
Okay, so I guess I'm next. So just let me turn on my camera. Okay, so here you go. So can you see me?
Yes.
Yep, I can see you.
All right. So hi everyone. The fiction that I have a very short fiction to read for you. It might be, it might have a little bit of a dark tone to it, but it's basically the voice of my own thoughts before when I came here to this country. So it's kind of like a dark fiction from my very, own dark thoughts that I have when I first came here. So I hope you enjoy it. I just sat down and brainstormed it, so it came out pretty dark, and I want to share. So anyway, let's start. Okay. Right. Darkness, shadow, silence. These were my friends during the past few months. Whenever I was alone, I sat down on my couch, thinking about nothingness. Nothingness of my life. The life that I lived that guided me through this darkness. At first, I was scared to enter it. I was scared of being alone within it. But now, I am not afraid of the darkness anymore. But I am welcoming its embrace. Yes, I am living in the darkness, and the darkness is still my friend. I know my darkness very well, well enough to not being afraid of it. So many others. Many people think that there is something in the darkness, haunting them, watching them. But really, the only thing that is watching them is the darkness itself. As soon as the light comes, the dark will fade away, and so their fear of darkness. I live in the darkness because we can talk silence. It's the language that you speak with it to the dark. It's the only language darkness can understand to make you feel relaxed within it. When you close your eyes to go to sleep, you see darkness first, and then you need a quiet place to fall asleep. You need silence. And wherever you are in the dark, silence will help you understand that there is nothing in the dark to be worried about. I live in the darkness because I can clearly see shadows of my past that lead me to it. Like I'm in a movie theater. At first, the darkness comes in. Second, when everyone are silent, they start to see the movie. I, on the other hand, start to see my thoughts moving before my eyes in the form of shadows in the darkness. There is no light, but I can see them. I can feel them. I can relive them.
will live the life of my own, my life of nothingness. Thank you.
That was so great. Good job.
Am I back?
You're back. Yes.
We can hear you again.
Good, thank you. Sorry about the technical issue there. I'm glad you stepped up for us. Thanks, Sapand. And MJ, let's see if we can get your camera going for us here and have you step up.
Can you see me?
Awesome, all yours.
Hi.
MJ Bujold.
Okay, I have a bit of foolishness and a sonnet and something that deals a little darker with domestic abuse. So here goes. This is hardware themed, and title is It's All Good. Makeup applied with a putty knife. Crystal was out for the night. A hot crescent wrench, a stud finder, in pursuit of Mr. Right. When she entered the club at Carpenter Square, the music hammered loud. She might have saw him dancing there as she whirled her way through the crowd. He was moving loose as slip-joint pliers. A girl had his hips in a vice. Crystal leveled that chick's desire with a pocketful of ice. The girl turned in an adjustable crescent and from a distant table saw that Crystal had found the impact driver that she had come there for. Okay, I hope everybody will relate to this one. This is Ode to Joe. I wake to find that I am oh so groggy. I stumble to the kitchen for the pot. My eyes and voice and brain are just plain foggy. Juice of the gods awaits me, sweet and hot. Oh, nectar of the bean, you do delight me. Morning, noon, and night, it matters not. Whatever flavor, grind, or brew you might be, my favorite always is the one I bought. Sometimes you disappoint me with your mood. You come on weak or strong or somewhat bitter. Despite your inconsistent attitude, I post my morning cup on Twitter. Coffee, intoxication bold and clever. To live without you, I could never. This is Patty, pack a suitcase. Patty, pack a suitcase and take it far from here. Make your plans, make your exit. Don't listen to your fears. Patty, pack a suitcase. It's been more than you can bear. The pot has called the kettle black, and it's a servant's frock you wear. Patty, pack a suitcase. Wipe your chalkboard clear. Ask questions. Find a teacher. Don't waste another year. Patty, pack a suitcase. Your seed cannot grow here. The wolves are in sheep's clothing, and it's a servant's frock you wear. Patty, pack a suitcase. Walk out and leave them there. Their legacy is your demise. Turn the doorknob if you dare. Patty, pack another suitcase. Fill it with your tears. Stuff it full of guilt and shame and throw it far away from here. Thank you.
Thank you, MJ. Thank you, MJ. A couple more readers. I agreed to pitch in myself, and then we have a special guest to finish us off. So again, I'm Tom Laughlin, and the famous poet Mary Oliver passed away last year, and I had an experience at...
Tom!
Oh, thank you.
Love you, Tom!
Okay, turn off those mics. I had an experience at the famous Walden Pond swimming last September that made me think of Mary Oliver and her famous poem, The Summer Day. So mine is a response poem, and I want to read Mary Oliver's The Summer Day just as a refresher, and then mine. So here's Mary Oliver's The Summer Day. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper, This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? So that's Mary Oliver's poem called The Summer Day. And my poem is called The Late Summer Day for Mary Oliver. Halfway across Walden Pond, the mid-September sun, bright above the tree line, reflects off the smooth surface and warms my squinting face as I swim, my hands reaching gently through the clear water of this late afternoon. The thickness of woods along the shores hold me in their arms as I turn to swim back towards sandy shore and the old wooden bathhouse basking in light, with a speckle of old swimmers and beach chair readers. Floating in the water just ahead of me, a small stick or piece of trash distracts me, until closer I see the light green body, the orange stripe, and the small legs of a grasshopper, motionless. How did she get here, far out in the middle, with no grass or land in sight? No boats today, with a fisherman who may not have noticed a quiet stowaway. And how have the trout, bass, and pickerel missed this tasty morsel? I reach to cup its body in one hand, water draining through my fingers, to see and feel the hair-like front legs and feathery body, until it jumps, alive suddenly. How? Landing just ahead, back on the water. I'm the only island in sight, I think, and slowly this time, cup my hand and lift, gently carrying her toward the top of my head, where she steps on, clinging to my wet hair. Holding my neck and head as still as possible, on the long swim in, I feel her move through my hair, climbing to higher ground perhaps, and I wonder what she sees from her perch with those enormous and complicated eyes, and whether Mary Oliver ever carried a grasshopper on her head. As my feet touch sand, my head rising with its passenger, I walk slowly out of the water, across the sand, past toweling swimmers and a curious child, up to the stone-walled ledge, where I bow my head to the thick blades of green beyond, feel the snap of her back legs, and see her fling herself back into the grass to continue her one wild and precious life. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. And our final special guest reader is...
Tommy Laughlin!
No, I was... Thank you. The last final reader, let's give a big hand for Phoebo.
People, how y'all living? How y'all living?
Can hear you, can't see you yet.
See what happens.
There we go. Oh.
All right, cool. What's up, party people? Good to see y'all. I'm gonna kick two poems if that's cool. And I am coming through again to rock with y'all later on in the month, and I would love to see as many of y'all there as possible. It was great
to hear from y'all today. Very inspiring. It was nice. It was nice. It's nice to feel some connection, even if it is through a computer screen in these times. Speaking of connection, the 2 poems that I'm going to do are just a shout out to the 2 things that I probably miss the most. And the first one is dancing. And so here we go. So there I was, dancing at a house party in Roxbury, and everything about this moment was so damn lit. The DJ, who was technically the homeowner with a really good 90s Spotify playlist, was still the DJ, and I swear she was reading my mind, because every song she played brought me and this girl closer. And closer, y'all, was the theme of the night. Now, this is not the first time her and I have moved. We've tap danced with conversations that produced a melody that made anyone listening to us be like, yeah, that sounds familiar. That's something my parents used to play. And it's like we've been here before. Like we are lifelong dance partners. Like this moment can transcend time. I am 12 years old, and all I know about rhythm is that it tastes like my first kiss on top of a rooftop in Puerto Rico, while downstairs at my sister's 6-year-old birthday party, there is way too much reggaeton being played. 14, at my first high school gathering, and literally the 2-step was saving my life until this girl with moon-like hands guys the blood in my hips to move with hers. I am 21, and all the practicing with my long sleeve t-shirts in front of my mirror is paying off. This dance floor is mine. Sean Paul is egging me on, and I'm dirty winding straight into the heart of a girl I once thought was too good for me. I am here in this moment, dancing with her in a Roxbury apartment, my feet tiptoeing around the fact that I like her, my hips howling and thankful for this moon, my forehead dedicated to keeping in theme with the night. She is close, and y'all, this is not the first time her and I have moved, but it's the first time we've touched, and it is innocent, it is pure, it is an achievement to my bones, it is a moment I don't know if I'll ever get to share with her again. So I take a step back and look at her with just enough grin to know that when the clouds are out, stretching themselves across the sky, ready to twirl with the stars, that's when I'll think of her. How every night holds the potential for any one of us to have a moment like this. Word.
Yeah.
Cool. Word. Thank you. Appreciate that. And we having fun. Please, by all means, come through. I believe that it got dropped in the chat on the 27th, 12:30. I'll be there. I'll be rocking a couple of more poems, talking a little bit about the process, about what living life as an artist looks like, and what living life artist looks like now when all of my gigs got canceled because no one can show up in front of places. And so it's like talking about that a little bit. But one of my last poem, a little bit different vibe, but definitely I really got into walking, not just as not even as exercise, just as like a way of like connecting with the self and really enjoying the feeling of one foot hitting the ground and the other, and just the traveling. And so I really missed that. And this was a quick poem to one of the quick little routines and rituals that I would do right before I went on any walk. Door, and I greet myself in this setting with 3 breaths. 1, for who I was when I woke up. In ellipses of the PM I surrender to. I breathe and choose today as a new page. Stillness, caused by choosing to be still, is a stillness I can build on. The 2nd breath is for who I want to be. A smile for a stir, a bless you for a sneeze filling the void. No thank you required. I want to be a held door for ease of transition and nothing else. Here, I'm reminded why the tops of trees are called crowns, how empires are grown from legacy, how I am a manifestation of my parents' sacrifice. The 3rd breath is for me, now, in this moment, with gratitude in my back pocket and intention jingling in my hand. The me that is now 3 breaths deep in my understanding of my own skin today. if I don't slow down enough to hear the echoes of my own body begging me to be validated, how can I begin the healing process, the tending of my own garden, the refurbishing of my own kitchen? Like, how can I buy new cabinets before I empty, measure, and rip out the cabinets that were there before? I carry this third breath with me in my stride until it eventually transforms into the breath that wishes my wife good night, the breath that thanks her for saying yes every day, the breath that carries the final I love you of the night before I find a new one tomorrow morning. Thank you, y'all. Appreciate it. Hope to see you on the
Yeah.
27th.
Oh, I love that. That was so cute.
Stuff. Thank you, Phoebo. And I want to
My best friend.
I want to hit you with that information on him. I want to thank everyone for showing up, for supporting the many creative voices at Middlesex community here. Please stick around for a few minutes and send a chat message to some of the writers you liked. I also have posted a survey or we'll post a survey momentarily in chat, and love to get some feedback on this first live streaming event. It just takes 1 minute with a couple questions for feedback for us. But Phoebo, I hope you'll join us with Phoebo's event on the 27th. I'm excited. It's again going to be a live streaming event, and look for your news in the Middlesex on the Middlesex website, in your news feed with Newscaster and other things. So let me get that post while you send some chats to others. And let's see. So if you can hit us with some feedback there, that would be awesome. Also, I want to let people know that additionally, the Dead River Review, the literary journal at the college, is looking for some submissions for their new section of that journal in the days of the virus. So things that you have been inspired to write related to your sequestration, your being stuck at home, and your social distancing and other things. So they're looking for poetry, short fiction, films, essays. So keep that in mind. Be great to have you submit there. And our literary journal is a wonderful one to take a look at. So again, chat away for a bit. I also wanted to mention, related to Dead River Review, put on your calendar May 4th is the release party for the newest issue. There'll be a release party and reading. So again, look at your news feeds for things like that. Notices about that coming up. So. And maybe one last big round of applause from those who can. Thank you to all the readers who have put their voices forward. Let's give a big round of applause for everybody. Thanks for this wonderful experience.